Welcome to the channel today. We are taking a Halloween prop with a Try Me button that works with batteries and converting it to a motion sensor that runs on an AC adapter. All items being used are listed in the description below. Diagram of the setup. Turn it around and open the compartment. Turn the batteries around until you see the positive and negative side. Mark the positive and negative side of the outer batteries. You can always open the compartment and find the positive and negative side. I'm doing this because I don't plan to open it unless I have to. Remove the batteries. Before you proceed any further, proceed at your own risk. There's a chance you can fry the board on the prop in rendering it useless or worse, electrocute yourself. Grab a red and black alligator clip and they'll be used to attach to the markings you marked earlier to the positive and negative side. Attach the red alligator clip to the positive side, then attach the black alligator clip to the negative side on the opposite of that one. Grab the 5V 2A AC wall adapter. Also grab a female DC pigtail connector and connect it to the AC wall adapter. Connect the black pigtail connector to the black alligator clip, which is ground, then connect the red pigtail connector to the red alligator clip, which is the positive. Let's connect the AC wall adapter and see if the prop works. If my prop had not turned on, then I would have tried the other positive and the other negative. Disconnect the AC wall adapter power. I removed the alligator clips and I'm marking positive and negative so I don't forget. Here I'm grabbing a breadboard, a transistor, a LED light, and connecting them to the breadboard. This is just for testing. I will be moving everything to a smaller breadboard that I will place inside the battery compartment. I like these motion sensor switch because they have the connectors on both ends. If you remove the cover, it has a setting you can control the duration of how long the prop will be on. You need a small screwdriver to adjust the duration. In the back of the motion sensor you have an output and an input. Connect the input to the AC wall adapter. This will send power to the motion sensor. Connect the output of the motion sensor to a female pigtail connector. Connecting the collector side of the transistor to the ground side of the breadboard. Placing a 1000 resistor between the power and the base of the transistor. Connecting the other end of the 1000 resistor to the power side of the breadboard. Connecting a red wire to the power side of the breadboard. It will be used later to send power to the LED light and transistor. Connecting a 220,000 resistor from the ground side of the LED to the ground side of the breadboard. Connecting the positive side of the LED to the power side of the breadboard. Connecting a black cable to the ground side of the breadboard. It will be used later to ground everything. All the components need to share the same ground or this will not work. Opening the Try Me button to find the positive and the negative side. Doing this the hard way by taking the AC wall adapter with a pigtail connectors and connecting it to the prop. The simplest way would have just been putting batteries in the prop and turn it on. Always make sure the positive and the ground are not touching. Using a multimeter to find out which is the positive and the ground side of the button. I have it set to voltage and 20. Make sure your prop is turned on. Touch the red cable to one side of the button and the black to the other side of the button. If you have a negative number, you have them flipped. Now mark the positive and the negative side. Cut the negative side of the button. It's going to connect to the emitter of the transistor. The power side of the button is no longer needed. Reconnecting the input of the motion sensor to the AC wall adapter and the output of the motion sensor to a female pigtail connector that's connected to the prop. The camera was above me and I didn't realize that I moved the breadboard out of frame. Connecting the ground of the breadboard to the ground of the prop and motion sensor. Connecting the power of the breadboard to the power of the prop and motion sensor. Turn on the prop. The prop is now running off an AC wall adapter and motion sensor, breaking the two middle dividers that separate the batteries, then transferring everything to a smaller breadboard so it fits nicely inside the battery compartment. Drilling a hole on the side so I can pass the pigtail connector that will be supplying the power and ground to prop. Using a small piece of 2-pin cable, soldering the blue wire to the ground side and the red wire to the positive side. Here is the small board wired up. Shortening the wires that I just soldered to the negative and positive sides. Inserting the wires from the female pigtail connector into the hole that I drilled. The board fits nicely in the battery compartment. Sliding a piece of heat-shrinking tubing onto the red wire of the pigtail connector, it will be soldered to the red cable coming from the prop and the small connector that will connect to the positive side of the board. Sliding a piece of heat-shrinking tubing onto the black wire of the pigtail connector, it will be soldered with the blue cable coming from the prop ground and a small connector that will connect to the ground side of the board. Sliding heat shrinking over the soldering and applying heat to it can shrink. The ground cable from the button will be connected to the emitter side of the transistor. Pushing the cables down. Putting the cover back on. Let's test. Since I have a lot of USB cables and connectors, I'm going to be using these for my prop. Cutting the connector off the USB cable and stripping it to expose the wires. Some have 3 or 4 wires, but all you need are the red and black cables. Connected the female pigtail connector to the USB, red to red and black to black, to test the voltage and ensure that red is positive and black is negative. I've seen this flip in some USB cables. Connecting the female pigtail connector to the USB, red to red and black to black. I added heat shrink tubing to protect the soldering. I didn't have any black electrical tape, but I will add some later. All done. I switched to a black motion sensor since it blends better with my prop. Let's test it out with the new USB cable and motion sensor.